So in this video I'm just going to analyse the goals, and then in another video I'll break down the game tactically in more depth. So the first goal comes from a corner, and it legitimately might be the first time in about 2 years that I've seen United actually pull off a pre-planned set piece from the training ground. So you can see as Bruno Fernandes is about to take the corner that De Ligt is the player in the United box who's furthest away from the goal, standing on the penalty spot with him, Zirkzee, and I think it's Casemiro behind Zirkzee, being the players between the Everton markers and the space where Bruno Fernandes wants to drop the ball into on the edge of the box. But Rashford doesn't start on the edge of the box, instead he's starting a lot deeper, so deep in fact that he's currently out of picture, and this is because if he loiters around the edge of the box, Everton are going to see the intention and just push a man up into that area. And as Bruno Fernandes takes a corner, you can see De Ligt, Zirkzee and every other Manchester United player inside of the box makes a forward movement into the 6-yard box, dragging the Everton players deep and therefore opening up the space around the penalty spot and edge of the box, meaning that when the ball does drop to Rashford, the Everton players are too deep to be able to move out to close down the space, but from here Rashford still doesn't have the time to take a touch and has to hit Bruno Fernandes' floated corner straight away, which he does on the half volley with his instep, and despite it eventually taking a deflection off of Branthwaite, Rashford's initial half volley was still incredibly accurate, as it looked like it was going towards the bottom corner anyway, but a deflection takes it past Pickford, giving United the lead. Now before I break down the rest of the goals, if you want to check out any of the current season jerseys or any retro club or international jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description and comment section below. So the second goal comes from United's trigger press, and if you look at the lead up to it, you can actually see that United are sitting off Everton quite passively, with Pickford having possession, splitting the two Everton centre backs. But Bruno Fernandes and Zirkzee aren't engaging, and they're sitting on the edge of the middle third, allowing Pickford and the two Everton centre-backs a lot of time and space in their defensive third. And in the in-game Instagram group chat, which you can sign up for on my Patreon, I'll leave it linked in all the usual places, we were discussing during the Bodo Glimt game why United weren't actually pressing that aggressively high up the pitch in the opposition's defensive third, as you probably would expect, and the same happened in this game against Everton. And the reason I think Amorim instructed his front three to sit off fairly deep in both games was to draw the opposition higher up the pitch in order to create more space in the opposition's half, but also in behind their back line for United to break into once the ball was won. As if United had pressed Everton aggressively, stopping them moving out of their defensive third, when United do actually win the ball back, Everton's midfield and defensive line are going to be closer to their own goal, likely in their defensive third, and so there's going to be less space for United to exploit. But what you can also see is that as Pickford has possession, Amorim's front three is sitting fairly lopsided, with Bruno Fernandes and Zirkzee situated in the centre almost as a front two, with Rashford dropping over to a wider position on the left, but no other United player in that same area on the right side. And I think Amorim set up the defensive shape this way in order to entice Everton to play over to their left side, United's right, and when the pass is played out to Doucouré on Everton's left, you can see that Ahmad immediately leaves that deeper position and Mykolenko and aggressively races forward to apply pressure to Doucouré with his back to goal, with Mainu also having followed Doucouré over to that left side. As Doucouré receives possession, you can see Ahmad is already on him on his first touch, but if I'm being honest, I think against a better side in possession, with better technical players in these deeper areas, United with this pressing setup would run the risk of the ball getting popped back inside to the player behind Zirkzee and Bruno Fernandes, Idrissa Gueye in this example, where from there would be a lot of space in the centre for him to drive forward into. Mazraoui, the right-sided centre-back, has been given the instruction to push up onto Ndiaye as he floats out to the left-sided half space, but I think the player alongside Mainu in the double pivot, Casemiro in this example, has to be covering the ground a lot quicker to shuffle over to that side and close off the space inside United's front pentagon shape. But Casemiro hasn't got the legs to do this, and this is why I think against Arsenal, Amorim has to be starting Ugarte in that role, but Everton aren't able to take advantage of this space, mainly because of how well timed Ahmad's aggressive press was, meaning that when the pass does go back to Branthwaite, Ahmad is able to continue the momentum of his initial press, and you can see now as Branthwaite is receiving the ball that Mainu has shifted over to that side to stop the pass going into Doucouré, whilst Bruno Fernandes is cutting the passing lane into Idrissa Gueye, and so Branthwaite doesn't have any clear and obvious passing lanes open. Now once again, I think Casemiro has to be quicker to shift over to that side, as Mazraoui is forced to leave Ndiaye as he drops into that space, pulling wide to cover the space that Ahmad has vacated on United's right-sided channel, meaning that if Branthwaite was say a Yuri and Timber, Van Dijk, or a Levi Colwill or any real elite level ball playing centre back, I think he's probably able to shift the ball, open up the passing lane into Ndiaye before splitting Bruno and Ahmad, and now because Casemiro is still caught on the other side, Ndiaye would have the time and space to receive the ball turn and drive through the United midfield. However, Everton's possession setup strategy and even the individual technical ability of their players in deeper areas isn't good enough to be able to take advantage of these spaces between United's forward and midfield lines. But Ahmad deserves the credit as the timing and the intensity of his press was spot on. He wins the ball back, and now because Bruno Fernandes has shifted over to that side to aid Ahmad with the press, he's able to latch onto the loose ball, and now you can see that United have an overload in this central area, running into United's defensive third, with Zirkzee goal side of Idrissa Gueye and Rashford also in a fairly central position, now able to burst forward into the final third. But even here, as Bruno Fernandes gets into the box, I think most players would look to square the pass into Ahmad, which would still be a clear-cut chance, but the pass across the box is going to provide United with a higher XG opportunity, just because of Pickford and Tarkowski's positioning on the other side of the goal. Bruno picks the right pass with the perfect weight and timing, and even here, Zirkzee does well with the finish to hit it back across Tarkowski as he's moving across the line to give United a 2-0 lead. But of all of United's goals in this game, I think the third, just after half-time, was probably my favourite. So here we see as Bruno Fernandes wins a loose ball in the centre of United's half. There is a clear 5-3-2 shape, but Ahmad at right wing back is already hedging his bets that United win possession, and so he's starting to creep forward, and because Mykolenko has been drawn infield with Rashford and Ndiaye has taken up a central position, Ahmad can now run off of his man into a massive amount of space created on United's right side, with Everton's left back being dragged infield with Rashford. But credit has to go to Zirkzee, as I don't think Højlund in this same situation is able to control the ball and play the pass out to Ahmad as efficiently. With Zirkzee's ball control, technical ability and vision being on full display, and as the ball is travelling out to Ahmad in behind Mykolenko, what you can also notice is Rashford's positioning. Under Ten Hag he was dropping into a wider and a deeper position on the left side in a 4-man midfield, but now in a front three in Amorim's 3-4-3, as soon as United regain possession, he's in an optimal position to attack the space, and we see the full effect of this for this goal. Ahmad races into the space, and Rashford's pace allows him to balance out Zirkzee's deeper movement, and now as Ahmad gets into the final third, we can see the intelligence of Rashford's movement around the box, as I think if this is Højlund, he looks to make a movement between Ashley Young and Tarkowski, which firstly would leave Ahmad with an incredibly hard pass that he would have to pull off in order to create a chance, but would also close off any space for a run from Bruno Fernandes. But Rashford initially holds his position centrally, and then waits for Mykolenko to move to engage Ahmad on the edge of the box, before he then bursts into the space in behind him, and once again like with Fernandes in the previous goal, Ahmad's timing and weight of pass is spot on, as he releases Rashford, and even though if you are being picky, you'd probably say that Rashford should be looking to drive the ball across Pickford into the far bottom corner, because his movement has enabled him to get into such a high value shooting position. The pace on the ball takes it under Pickford into the net, giving United a 3-0 lead. And the fourth goal once again involves Ahmad, this time it's Tarkowski who's his victim, and to be fair, this is just dreadful play from the Everton centre-back, as he has a simple pass inside into Branthwaite, but he just waits and waits, and I'm not even sure what he's trying to do. Ahmad steals the ball, and this time, because it's a 2v1, rather than Zirkzee making the same run across Ahmad like Rashford did in the previous goal, he just has to hold his position to the left of Ashley Young, and once again Ahmad gets the timing, weight and direction of his pass spot on, waiting until Ashley Young is about to engage him on the edge of the box, before sliding the pass over to Zirkzee with his right foot, from where Zirkzee shows his composure and technique to first time pass the ball into the far corner, making it 4-0. So I am now working on a separate video breaking down the game in more tactical detail, but for the goals I think the weight of pass from players like Bruno Fernandes and Ahmad was spot on, as well as the intensity in Ahmad's pressing to create the second and the fourth goal, and I think we also saw exactly why Zirkzee and Rashford are perfect for each other in that front three, as Zirkzee dropping off to link the play efficiently as he does so well is perfectly balanced out by Rashford's pace and movement ahead, allowing him to get into more central goal scoring positions. And as I said when Amorim was initially appointed, I think using Rashford in that more central position alongside Zirkzee is ultimately his most optimal role, and as we saw for the third goal, this is going to allow him to get into higher value goal scoring positions. So let me know what you thought of the game in the comments section. You can sign up to my Patreon as well, I'll leave that linked in all the usual places and on the end screen now as well.